Good evening. Welcome each of you to the Planning Commission's work session, and then which will be followed by a business session. All right. We'll start with the work session. I have two items on the agenda for work session. It's 301 Cooper Drive, Broadway Circle, LLC, preliminary site development plan, interruption of subdivision regulations, diesel service station.
Madam Chairman, I would like to give just a brief introduction to the commission, a little explanation of what we're discussing in this work session. So the property that we are talking about is 301 Cooper Drive. This is on exit 77, and it is just off Peggy Flats Road. So this is Tractor Supply. The interstate is just right down here. It's zoned B4, so interstate commercial. And the applicant, or owner in this case, has talked to me about building this. We actually have a conceptual, so you should have this plan in your packet. The conceptual plan is for 4 diesel pumps and a canopy. And so when he came to talk to me about submitting the development plan, I looked at our regulations and just wanted to bring it to Planning Commission for discussion for an interpretation. So according to our regulations, service stations are a permitted use in a B4 zone. On the other hand, truck service centers are a prohibited use. So in this meeting, the engineer is prepared to come up, give you all a presentation, kind of explain what they're seeking here. We have some example pictures, but what I'm looking for is the Planning Commission's interpretation of what this use is, as to whether it is an allowable use currently or not. And more so, just want to also mention if some of you were involved in some proposed changes to our regulations, and we'll probably talk through those and what we proposed but aren't actually adopted yet. So I'd like for the engineer to come up, explain what they're looking for. And again, it's really with the intention of, is this a service station or is this a truck fueling center that is prohibited? Or
Truck service.
Truck service center that would be a prohibited use.
Okay.
Okay? And we've got Nick Dunn here that is going to represent. Yep.
Good evening. My name's Nick Dunn, DSA Engineering. She actually did a fantastic job. I think for the most part she said everything I was going to get up here and say. I guess the main thing that we're looking for is exactly what she said, clarification on your all's what's going to be permissible in this particular zone. We're not suggesting that we're going to provide any services for trucks. This is really just an extension of the gas station that's adjacent that Mr. and I already owns. I have some pictures that we submitted of other sites that we think are similar representations of sort of what he would like to ultimately end up constructing. This is a 5-star, and it just happens to be in Lancaster. But you can see this closest canopy here is a diesel canopy only. There's more area adjacent to the pumps. It allows trucks exactly like what you can see there. You know, a smaller truck with a trailer, a camper, a truck that has a camper, dump trucks, recreational vehicles, boats. Both of the adjacent gas stations are somewhat limited in the available space that's on site that would grant vehicles like that access to the diesel pumps that are at both of those locations. Something like this would sort of would give them a little more access, make it easier for them to get in. They've sort of talked to some people that suggest that they think that there's a demand in this area, certainly adjacent to the interstate, for people that are going to be pulling boats, people that are going to be pulling campers, dump trucks, school buses, things like that, that would have a significant issue getting into the adjacent gas station to be able to utilize the diesel pumps that are already there. So if you look at the sort of the conceptual plan that we provided, just to sort of further point out that it's not meant to be a truck stop. There are no services provided on this particular site. The building that's shown there is a maintenance building for trash, monitoring equipment for the tanks, just very general maintenance type issues would be what that building there is responsible for. So as a whole, it's really just a proposal for an extension of services for the gas station that's already there, immediately adjacent. You can see the property there to the east. That's the BP that's currently there. So that's exactly what we're proposing.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Any questions from any of the commissioners? Yes.
Will you have a dumpster on site?
Most likely we'll use the one that's already there. If you notice right, actually in that picture, in the back left corner, that dumpster's really conveniently located, obviously, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
So I assume you've done some analytics on this, and you got a number, what you think's gonna be coming through, or what you're gonna do there?
And they have projections on sales.
It's going to be on that 10, there's no reason this customer with a credit card minimum.
I'm sorry, customer with, would you come to the,
What he's saying,
okay,
what he means is there won't actually be an attendant that works at this particular location. There won't be any additional employees that are going to be there.
credit card.
But I think to answer your question is, that they have minimum projections to be able to produce something like this of 50,000 gallons. So they're projecting at least in excess of 50,000 gallons a month that this particular location would be able to serve in diesel fuel only.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you all have any discussion about truck service center versus gas station
So,
with diesel?
so again, just for the business session, and just for clarity on my part, I did go ahead and add this as a business session item so that we could have a formal vote. And again, I hope that you guys understand the reason for that is that we've had those discussions about truck service centers in the past, and I just want to make sure that I'm interpreting that correctly. So it is an item on the business session for a vote as well.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. The second item, yes.
I got a question. I'm not even seeing truck
Service.
center in the tables.
So it's not currently. So if you go to, in allowable land uses, table 406. My poor book's falling apart. Service center, service station is a permitted use under retail trade.
Yeah.
If you go 2-3 more pages over, there in section 406.7 is uses prohibited in all districts. And it talks about truck service centers, and then it gives a definition, and this is really where I needed, again, an interpretation of this. So by definition in our current regulations, truck service center means a business facility or development which primarily provides services to commercial vehicles, which are not owned by the facility or development, including fuel, food, or entertainment for the operators or vehicles designated for the transportation of non-human cargo, including but not limited to truck stops, truck washes, truck service facilities, truck refueling facilities. And that's where I was a little uncertain, just very specifically where it called out truck refueling. And other similar uses provided, however, not including a business facility or development which only provides repair or maintenance service without providing fuel, food, or entertainment. And then if you'll remember, we are ongoing, working on regulation changes and updates. And what we proposed is to change the existing allowable land uses table to add this line in there, which is travel center or specifically fueling centers that would be permitted in a B4 zone or permitted in a I2 zone, so industrial or interstate business zone. And then we gave that a definition to say that travel center or fueling center is a business facility or development which provides hospitality, fuel, food, and beverage, retail, and other services to commercial vehicles and travelers. So those are proposed. We've gone through a work session with the Planning Commission, but this has not been adopted. And so again, that's where I'm just looking for that interpretation of, is it a service center that is permitted, or is it a service station that is a currently permitted use? Or does it somehow fit into this? Again, I'm looking at our adopted regulations. But again, just with the attention that we know that we are looking to change that language.
And a key phrase there would be commercial too. I don't know how many of those are commercial or how many are just people going to the lake or, people pulling a trailer behind them or,
I agree.
Stephanie, I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
I'm just thinking out loud really, but the key term there I think would be commercial, the commercial part of the truck thing is, it sounds like these are trucks just pulling boats behind them to go to the lake for the weekend, or, a lot of them are gonna be workers, construction workers, maybe with a trailer behind them, or, the convenience of that. So that would make a huge difference as opposed to hauling, a big tractor trailer, so commercial, I think, plays a big difference there. Is it really just gonna be commercial, or is it trucks like you and I drive every day,
Well, did I miss something? I thought that this was proposed for fueling tractor trailers. No. Okay.
I got something. I think, is this on the BP side, on the same side of the street, the same land the BP's on? I think we don't need to misinterpret this, but I don't see any difference in this, him putting 4 pumps in there,
I don't know.
4 islands, is that right? Than they are to have 1 island that tractor trailers can get into at a service station. I mean, really, when you see it, and this is definitely, I mean, I've walked in them shoes for 50 years. So, but I don't see anything here that says service center. I mean, I don't believe that for a second that this is intended just for a travel trailer or somebody going fishing that's got a diesel truck. I mean, I believe it's intended for tractor trailers, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Where do you break the line at? How big you make a lot so a tractor and trailer can get in it, or where you make the lot so a tractor trailer can pull into a gas station with 1 pump? The only thing is, instead of having a 1-horse pump, you got a 4-horse pump here, And that's something that really, like we said, we need to look at, because it's never been really a fair trade thing. But I don't see anything here that says it's a service center. But you can take a service truck and go on to somebody else's service station lot or into their restaurant lot and do all the work on that tractor trailer you want to. That's legal. but you can't pull it in, he can't pull one in onto his own lot and work on a truck on his lot. See, I mean, now, I've been through that, legally and illegal and everything else, both ways. I mean, I know how I know how that works, but it really needs to be defined, and I don't see any difference at all in having 4 pumps and having 1 pump. And what he's got here, looks like he's got a little maintenance building there to have his controls in. Maybe he's gonna have a person sitting in there, I'm not sure, to operate the pumps, to have his controls in. But I really don't think that this will work to just take your boat and camper and go to the lake or fill your dump truck up that's pulling a backhoe. I don't think that's at all that. I think it's for a lot of tractor and trailers that go to the factories and everything else that need somewhere to get into. And I'm not sure how much parking space are you gonna add in there or what.
Proposed any facilities for anybody to park there. There's no parking that's gonna be delineated or at least we're proposing to do right now. There won't be any services other than the pumps there. There won't be an attendant that will be available for help, just be just like the credit card, it'll be, again, the picture that she showed, that's exactly what we're proposing. Adjacent pumps that will allow people to trailers. They just don't have access to the site that he has now. That's exactly what we're proposing.
I mean, we need to look at it, like I said, we need to look at it and discuss it.
Well,
Because there's a difference in 1 pump and 4 pumps, there's really not. And you know, right now, you get a tractor and trailer into gas stations down at BP or the Marathon or anywhere you want to. If it's got a diesel pump, you can fill your truck up, you know?
you could fill a semi up.
So, you know, yeah.
And that's
Mike-
really where I was having a little bit of the interpretation problem, and just, you know, I don't think it's, I felt like it was enough of a gray area that I wanted the vote of the planning commission to say, is this, does the commercial play any, does it make a distinction or not? Because the reality is, I think if semi wanted to pull in there, they would.
Mike,
Where-
you had some, hold on just a
That's
second.
what I was going with, I'm sorry, Jeff, what Chester was saying, is that's 23 feet between each pump. Is that big enough for tractor trailer with another car or another truck pulling a trailer? You know, like a construction truck with a dually, and then you got a tractor trailer pulling in there at the same time. There's enough room for all that commotion, because once a tractor trailer pulls in there, he said, wait, there's not enough room for him. Where is he gonna go? You see what I'm saying? If he goes in there by accident, think, well, I can get gas there. Is there enough room with the width for him to get through there?
Well, and I think that might be a question for Mr. Dunn to just,
Yeah.
you know, clarify. Is the turning radius, where a semi can easily maneuver that clearance?
Absolutely. I mean, we made enough room for a big, you know, a 1-ton truck pulling a 43-foot camper to have plenty of room to be able to get there. If a tractor trailer wants to get in there, there's certainly gonna be able to. There's not, it's, the whole point of doing this is because we didn't have enough room at the other side. So if a tractor trailer decides he wants to get in there, certainly he'll be able to. He's not gonna have any services there that he would used to in the truck center. Here, the only thing you'll be able to do is put fuel in his truck, and I guess he can walk from the pump across the lawn over there to the adjacent gas station to maybe get a snack or something like that. This particular facility on this particular lot, with no other services whatsoever. I guess if you wanted to throw his coffee cup away in the trash, you could certainly do that. But outside of that, he wouldn't have any services other than the fuel would be good.
Okay, Jim, did you have?
Is the entrance on this, I'm reading it's gonna be on Cooper Drive, correct? Okay.
So what you're going, so he's, if they was two tractor trailer pull in there, he's got enough room to get in and get out? Okay, yeah, that's where I was pointing out.
And across the adjacent site, you know, a tractor trailer could get in there
Yeah,
too, if there were no cars parked in the adjacent part, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yep.
The idea is for trucks that have huge trailers, even construction workers that could be pulling a skid steer or whatever, or guys that are going, you know, it's not completely adverse to commercial business. We would like to
So you're not gonna have any bathrooms?
There we go. The only facility there, that maintenance facility is 12 by 14.
Do you have any idea of what a truck driver can throw out on the lot that, where you don't have bathrooms, you know? I mean,
But the way things are now, you know, if we provided restroom services, that would be, the whole, I mean, we're not adverse to having that, but we recognize that would sort of suggest that it is a truck stop, when it's truly, we don't intend for it to be a truck stop. So really, that building that's there is small enough in our mind to take care of trash facilities, any sort of telemetry and/or electronic monitoring systems for the buried fuel tanks. Outside of that, nothing else.
Okay, other questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much. We'll move past 301 Cooper Drive to Berea Property Development LLC, final plat. Stony Creek subdivision, Track 1, Unit 1, Block 1, Lot 2A.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Pat Sowers. I own Real Property Development. We're just looking to finish up the final plat tonight for, there's 18 duplex lots and all the construction portion's done, and I think we've got it all finished. Any questions or concerns, thoughts?
So, from, just a staff report, the infrastructure for this, and actually I wanna get my aerial map to that, cause I think it's a little easier to understand. So you'll probably remember, this is probably one of the quickest turnarounds from preliminary to final plat that we've had. But in this case, they only had a sewer line extension and some water line to do. And so this is the kind of entrance, it's that first block into Stony Creek. So these lots front along Wildwood Way and Winding Branch Drive. There are 18 lots, 18 duplex lots.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, infrastructure has been installed. That was sewer and water. They have put in all of our recommendations. So we require that they mark the property lot lines by a little nail in the gutter. Those were installed. As-built have been submitted. We have a bond estimate that has been submitted by the engineer. And I will be asking for a recommendation for an amendment to the agenda. I did fail to put the bond approval on the first agenda. So your agenda that you got has an item number 3, but that is not the agenda that was sent out for public announcement. So as part of this plat approval, we will need to approve the bond amounts, but we have that estimate from the engineer. And unless you guys see anything, the staff would recommend approval.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Okay?
All right, that concludes our work session. I would now like to call to order the business session for Berea Planning Commission, March 28th, 2023. Our first is, of course, a call to order recognition of visitors for any item that is not on the agenda. Okay. We do have, third will be the minutes of February 28th, which were distributed to you.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes as submitted for Tuesday, February 28th.
Okay, it's been second. Moved and second that we accept the minutes of February 28th as distributed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, we're going on next to old.
Madam
bit-
Chairman,
Yes,
I'm sorry,
ma'am.
I would like to ask the planning commission to make a motion to amend the agenda to add an item number 3 under new business for Berea Property Development final plat bond approval.
Okay. That is an amendment to the
Printed,
print,
to
well,
the,
to the agenda that was sent out.
the
And we-
published
Published
agenda.
agenda, right.
Uh-huh, you have the corrected printed agenda in front of you.
Okay. Motion to accept this as a third item?
You need a motion for that?
I do
I
need
did.
a motion, yeah.
I'll make the motion that we add item number 3, Berea Property Development LLC, bond approval, Stony Creek subdivision, track 1, unit 1, block 1, lot 2A.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and second that we add the Berea Property Development LLC bond approval to our agenda items. All in favor?
Aye,
Opposed? Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Now, old business. Stony Creek Development LLC through Stony Creek Holding LLC, Unit 3, Phase 1A, lots 18 to 19, lots 61 to 85. Letter of credit or bond which expires April 8th, 2023, in the amount of $293,445. They request an extension for 1 year in this amount.
Madam Chairman, the staff would recommend an extension for 1 year in the same amount. This letter of credit covers this little section of paved road that you see for Stony Creek.
Okay.
Oh, and, I'm sorry, and the pavement for the entrance along Wildwood Way.
And the bond amount's sufficient enough to cover?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I will entertain a motion. Everyone's so quiet tonight.
You're gonna go, Ben?
Go ahead.
I'd make a motion to approve the request for extension of 1 year in the amount of $293,445 to Stony Creek Development LLC for Unit 3, Phase 1A, lots 18 and 19, and lots 61 through 85, for 1 year, till April 8th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Okay. Wow. Moved in second that we extend the requests, for 1 year, the amount of $293,445 for Stony Creek Development LLC through Stony Creek Holdings LLC. That is for Unit 3, Phase 1A, lots 18 and 19, and lots 61 to 85. And it will expire April 8th, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. Talk about us moving things quickly. Under new business, we have 301 Cooper Drive, Broadway Circle LLC, a preliminary site development plan, clarifications of use for LMDO diesel service station.
Madam Chairman, as discussed in the work session, the staff would request that Planning Commission interpret the Land Management and Development Ordinance regulations to identify if the proposed conceptual plan for 4 diesel pumps and the canopy is a service station, which is a permitted use in a B4 zone, or if it would be considered a truck service center currently prohibited by section 406.7.
Okay. Additional discussion, yes.
I got a question.
Please.
You had showed some revisions to, up there, but we have not approved those revisions, correct?
No, they have not been
Okay.
approved.
And so I'm looking at this as just an extension of the current service station facilities through a high bay pumps, is that right?
Canopy.
Canopy.
Yeah.
It's a high bay canopy. Just to, yeah.
Okay.
What we're proposing is just an extension of what services.
Yeah, with a high bay canopy. It's not specific for any particular vehicles. Yep, okay.
What's the height of that canopy gonna be?
16.
Okay.
That's the clearance.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yes, Jess.
Will that runoff water go into that same retention pond that's behind the BP? I'm kinda lost right here for some reason. You have a retention pond behind that BP service station, correct? Will that same water run off at this lot onto it?
From that surface ditch that's to the west, that particular property right there. So the stormwater that comes from Tractor Supply goes underneath Hoover. There's a surface ditch on the west side, right like adjacent to the existing car wash that's
Yeah.
going down to 595.
And also, I will mention, at this point in time, when they approached me about this project, I really needed this interpretation for them to be able to proceed with the site development plan, because if it weren't permitted, there's no point in spending the money on the drawings, right? So, it's just a conceptual plan. So they will be required to submit a full development plan that will be subject to review to meet our city's regulations. It'll be reviewed by our city engineer for stormwater compliance. So that's certainly not an approvable plan. That's more just a conceptual. And really for today, we're just kind of looking at the classification of use.
Other comments? Yes. Go ahead.
You know, I don't necessarily have any problem, you know, with it. As someone who has an RV, for example, it would be nice to be able to pull into something like this as opposed to the chaos that you have at the Shell, as well as, you know, at the BP, you know, with a 25-foot RV that's, you know, 12 feet high. You know, I see some use in it. The only reservation that I have is that that it goes through, obviously, the city's you know, engineering and that type of stuff for water runoff, because there's a tremendous amount of asphalt. And when you look at you know, the main road that is there, flooding occurs quite frequently. And I want to make sure that, you know, the city engineer looks at, you know, your proposed water plans to make sure that we're not adding to the problems that we have when we have a tremendous amount of rain.
And that would be required for them to.
We'll navigate all pre and post stormwater requirements that the city has. If you all determine that this isn't really good use, we will start that process.
Okay. Yes. Martin.
Are you showing a buried diesel tank? Are these pumps diesel only?
Yeah, they have to be.
And will there be diesel only, no DEF pumps? There will be DEF? Okay. Okay. And the only reason I ask is with, you know, the potential of DEF tanks, you also will potentially increase the likelihood of tractor trailers and commercial vehicles, right?
Okay. Other comments or questions?
Well, I'm waffling back and forth on this, because if it's I hear the argument you're making, and I'm tempted to buy it, except that for those trucks, even, an F-250, that's pulling in, a boat trailer makes sense, right? Except those F-250s are using gasoline, so this doesn't solve that problem. Being that it's diesel only, it seems more tailored to those types of trucks that are diesel. You said it's not tailored to tractor trailers, but they can access if they so want to. And, so we're getting in the sticky point. If this is open to any vehicle that needs that high bay clearance, then to me, it falls under, our existing regulations. But just being the fact that it's diesel seems it's more tailored to that kind of commercial vehicles. And from my interpretation of our regulations, that doesn't fall under that.
Okay.
This is my opinion.
Some of these campers, motorhomes that has air conditioners on top or something, they're 13.4 and 13.6, just for the motorhome. The clearance is 13.6, I think, on tractor and trailer 14, and a motorhome is real close to the same height if they have an air conditioner unit and stuff on top of them. I don't really know enough about what I'm seeing here to agree with this, but I don't want to disagree with it just because they're diesel pumps. Because I don't know where the limit is on 1 pump or 2 pumps or 3 pumps. If he is building this on with his service station there, where they can use the restrooms and stuff in that service, that bothers me as much as anything. Because I know how much trash can come from a place that don't have any restrooms. But if he is putting it together where they could get out there and they'll be using his restrooms at his gas station, I know that don't have anything to do with the zoning thing of it, but still, you're looking at, like he said, you're looking at a lot of water out there, because we have problems with that anyway. When it floods, it gets up into the big area, which is blacktop now, most of it, so that's, we'll run into that later on, like you said, but.
Yeah, we have floodplain adjacent to this, and so the owner has dealt with floodplain. He actually had floodplain on the Shell station lot that's just adjacent to this. So he's the owner there too. So we've navigated some stormwater things before with the owner.
I've not seen anything that he's built yet that hasn't looked good to the point, so I'm sure that he'll do the best he can with it, but I'm just concerned about not having the facilities there for people to use. They're gonna use something, guarantee you. If they've been out there on that road a while, they're gonna use something,
Yeah, don't kid yourself. It's a highly commercial area down there.
Yeah.
And if you've been down there, I don't know if you go down there today, but I've been down there, and there's a lot of truck parking going on now.
all along that road.
So, don't kid yourself that a
Yeah.
tractor trailer's not gonna use that. So, that's gonna happen, and I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you just need to be okay with that. So, does it promote,
I'm-
getting gas and then stopping and sleeping for the 8 hours or the 12
Yeah.
hours or whatever? I don't know.
throw
I'm
it
not
out.
saying it does. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But those are issues that are gonna affect the area.
But I think 4 diesel islands added to his facility that he has there now, I don't see any problems with that, because what's the difference in adding 1 and adding 4 is what I've been trying to get the point off. As long as the room there to do it. And there's not really gonna be room for a truck stop, because he don't have the parking places there for the trailers and the trucks.
Yeah, there's no parking that's being considered with any of this. So it is, it's a fairly small lot when you look at, there's just not room to put parking on there with the pumps.
Certainly, we're not proposing any
I'm sorry,
Would you
we're
come
in
up?
a business session, so we're gonna have to ask you to come up and speak in the microphone, so we can get you on record.
Yeah, again, we're not actually proposing, it is an extension of the gas station that's there. We're not proposing any parking whatsoever. So certainly, anybody that would pull in there would have the ability to get out, leave their vehicle, walk across the parking lot, across the grass median right there that separates the two lots, and you know, go in front of the subway and use that BP station there. You know, what we're proposing here is certainly not adding any convenience
Right.
for those people to do that thing. Really, these are actually called satellite pumps. So the only option you have is to pay with a credit card, and the transaction happens over an internet modem that's inside of each one of those pumps. So, you know, we don't, you know, as far as the diesel versus the gasoline goes, my F-250 has diesel, and I pull a big camper, and I don't know if you've ever pulled yours to Florida. Places like these are amazing because you don't have to mess with the people that are getting gas. You don't have to mess with the cars that are parked incorrectly or parked too far out into the median. Everywhere you go, it's difficult to get a big camper and a big truck in, and so ultimately, and not just a camper, a boat, or if you're a construction worker and you're pulling a skid steer or small mini or anything like that, or a dump truck, certainly we wouldn't want those people to not come. But as far as the services that would be provided to all of those people, they're going to be limited on this site. Again, they can get out, leave their vehicle, walk across the parking lot over to the gas station. We wouldn't necessarily suggest that they not do that. But the idea is for people to come in, pump, not park, leave. It's just the convenience of getting diesel fuel. That's what we're hoping to provide here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dunn. Other comments?
I got a question for Ben. I've never been in a self-contained RV. Are they primarily diesel?
So mine is, yeah. I mean, it's on a Mercedes Sprinter chassis, okay, which the power, the engine is a diesel engine. And I've gotten fuel at his stations before, and I mean, he's seen my RV, came out and looked at it. But I think, and it's somewhat inconvenient at the BP because you only have, that one diesel pump that's kind of off to the side. And the Shell station that's across the street, is a booming business. And to bring in a 25-foot RV is somewhat, difficult. And this would be, pretty simple in my mind.
Yeah, I get it. And maybe I'm just a stickler. I mean, because, the current regs, as Amanda pointed out, on 406.7 prohibited in all uses, and it says truck service centers. And this being primary diesel, that's where I'm, leaning.
Yeah, but I've heard nothing that they're going to have restrooms. I've heard nothing that they're going to have on-site parking. I've heard nothing that their intentions are to have a flat tire repair or any of that other kind of stuff. To me, it seems to be just transactional in fuel. That's
Yes.
it. And potentially death. That's it.
Yes. But the language, the way the language is written, I mean, in here, I mean, it's not, and, it's not and, or. I mean, it's, the way it's in here, you can pick one of these things out, and like, that is falling under the truck service center. We're not even defining what a truck is, right? I mean,
A lot of your new pickups now are coming with diesels.
yeah, I agree.
Very, very I would say, 20% of just regular pickup trucks are diesel now, and they're gonna be more and more.
I've had diesel pickups,
Right,
I've
yeah,
had
so
gas 350, F350,
Yeah.
so
And like I say, if you let this happen, what will happen after that?
that's always my case, is the
Yeah.
unintended consequences,
But
of our decisions.
Chester's a pro, and I think it's kind of restricted for a tractor trailer to get in there and get out, especially if there's other automobiles in there. So I think that would probably turn them off. But that is a busy. exit's gotten busier and busier.
I've always understood, I'm not sure if it's what it is, but if you don't sell food, you don't have to have a bathroom. Is that correct? Or,
Yeah, in terms of building code, this isn't really I mean, it's not an occupied structure, so there's
Right.
nothing here that would require restrooms.
Just
that's
get you
what,
gas.
that's the point I'm getting to, yeah.
Yeah.
So, a question for, is this gonna be flagged as BP? Okay, because,
In these particular instances, they have the option to what's called a referendum.
okay,
So it's a contractual option that they have. But said that you could potentially.
yeah, I mean, to me, it makes sense if it said BP and, those that come there would know that it's an extension and not necessarily standalone, right?
I think as we think about truck stops, for me, it seems like it is a place that you pull that big 18-wheeler in and you can stay for a while. How many hours you need to. be
Flying
able to-
J,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
the- yeah,
those are truck stops. I'm just saying, not sure that this is either written as or conceptually, this is not that. Am I correct? It is not a flying J.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's obvious we need to do some revisions, to the regs and.
Well, and that's why I wanted to mention, that we have had those discussions before. We have recognized that fueling centers are not in our regulations and needed to be in there. And we have identified that, a B4 zone right by the interstate would be the appropriate place for them. And I think we've identified that our city has a need for them. We just haven't, and that's what I explained to the owner, it's just this scenario that, we just haven't gotten those regulations, through that full adoption process. And, but I think the need has been identified.
I'm not opposed to it, and if it would definitely keep these trucks with trailers out of the McDonald's drive-through, I'm all in.
Yes, it is.
I just,
I don't think they're getting fuel at McDonald's, but I could be wrong.
Not that kind of deal.
well, I can just see a lot of semi-trucks using this. I mean, they're gonna be right there, at the industrial park, they're gonna flip right down there, and they're gonna come in for gas, I mean, for diesel. That's what I see happening, and they will find a place to park somewhere. So I could, yeah,
park
they
on
are
the
parking
street,
on the
yeah.
street. So that's my concern.
Okay.
Well, is the parking on the street a concern of P&Z? I mean, to me, the parking on the street may be something for, the Berea Police Department.
It has been a
Okay,
concern of our police department.
Right.
They have ticketed.
Sure.
It is a concern, but, I agree, I'm just not, we can't regulate where they park on the public right-of-way in terms of planning commission.
That was my question. You can't put up a sign, like say out by the industrial park on whatever it is, Walnut Meadow, that no parking here? Or could you do that down in this area?
So Walnut Meadows is a state highway, and, so the state regulates all signage that's put up in their right-of-way.
Okay.
I'm ready for somebody to make a motion.
Well, Martin, go right ahead. Or anyone. I will entertain a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion, for better or for worse. I make a motion to approve the preliminary development site plan for 301 Cooper Drive by Broadway Circle LLC, based on that it meets the current land development regulations. Yeah, that's it.
a second.
All right. It has been moved and second that we approve the 301 Cooper Drive Broadway Circle LLC preliminary site development plan, as it does fit within our regulations. The expectation that a full plan will be brought before, development plan will be provided. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. Thank you. All right, thanks. The second is the Berea Property Development LLC, the final plat for Stony Creek subdivision, Track 1, Unit 1, Block 1, Lot 2A.
Please, to help. Any questions or concerns? Anything I can? It's pretty simple. There wasn't much to install, and the road was already there, so it was pretty insignificant from a developer's point of view. It's more drawing than there was actual work.
This is
Okay.
your final plat, is this correct?
Yes, sir.
How many residents does this add to the,
18 duplexes, so probably 36 couples would be the goal.
What does that make total for the entire subdivision?
I have no idea.
I think it is, close to 300 right now.
Units.
Uh-huh, and, yeah, total 300 dwellings, or structures, I should say structures.
Okay. This includes houses and
Duplexes.
duplexes, but there are no apartments back there yet. Okay.
Just to verify, the city team has signed off on this, engineering, utilities.
Yes, I should mention that for the record. It has been through the development review team and has received approval from all those members, and the staff would recommend approval of the final plat.
and is it, the entrance getting an upgrade at some point in time?
So that's getting done by a different developer, from my understanding,
Yes.
but it is supposed to happen in this, in April's, what I keep hearing, so, or the spring, which to me is April.
Yeah, I had a conversation with them today, and they were waiting on an updated quote from the
Okay.
Allen Company.
Okay.
I think all the permitting's in place for the state,
That's what I understand.
so it's just a matter of,
And I'm just saying that just simply because we keep approving.
well, I think it needs done too.
Yeah, so we keep approving it, and there's only one way in, one way out, and we just
But the turn lane should add quite a bit of help.
keep adding people to it, so.
Yes.
We've been down that rabbit hole.
So the question is there a plan to put a traffic light there? I think with the turn lanes, there would not be a need for the traffic light, because you're gonna be able to, get off of Richmond Road to either accelerate or decelerate to turn in there. So the need for, and to be honest with you, you know, for building inspections, because that's where most of our construction's happening right now. So, my office is in and out of there quite frequently at all different times of the day. And, so far, there's not been any, you know, backup times that you think, oh gosh, it's so hard to get in and out of here. That's not been the case so far. So I can't see that a traffic light would go in, but of course, that would be a state decision. Oh, well, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
US
a good
highway.
point. It is US 25, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chair. I make a motion to approve Berea Property Development LLC final plat for Stony Creek subdivision, Tracks 1, Unit 1, Block 1, Lot 2A.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and second that we approve the Berea Property Development LLC, the final plat for Stony Creek subdivision, Track 1, Unit 1, Block 1, Lot 2A. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Yep.
Probably. I have a couple things working.
Okay, well, we do have one more item.
I think I'm the bond. Do I
It's
need
the
to stay
bond.
up here for the bond?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's.
Someone
back
needs
where-
to, I need someone to talk about the bond.
Okay, I can.
Oh.
I've got it right here in front of me. So, the engineer has submitted, a bond estimate for, 1,850 linear feet of sidewalks at $18 a linear foot, which we think is a fair market value for concrete right now for sidewalks. They have included the 15% additional that we require for our bonds. And, so there's $38,295 for sidewalk, and then there's a roadway resurface for $5,000, and you might, talk about that.
So the original sewer was laid in the street and we cut a 2-foot strip to tap the sewer, and there's 4, 5. So it would be done except the blacktop plant wasn't open. We offered to do it in concrete and the road department requests that we wait and do it in blacktop. And, so that's what we're doing. So it'll be done pretty quick. I assume probably when, Stony Creek, in the back. I don't like to leave things like that because it makes a mess, so we'll get it just as soon as possible. It won't last long.
So with the 15% additional, which they added on to the roadway resurfacing as well, and actually I have a copy of this, I should pull it up for you guys to look at. So there's the bond estimate that was presented, and the total amount would be $44,045. So $44,045. And the staff would recommend accepting that bond amount.
Okay. Do you have a motion?
This is for item 3, correct?
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we approve the bond of $44,045 for Stony Creek subdivision, Track 1, Unit 1, Block 1, Lot 2A.
And that's for 1 year?
1 year, yes.
Second.
Okay. Moved in second, we approve the bond for Rear Property Development LLC in the amount of $44,045 for 1 year. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, our next item of business is a public hearing. And the public hearing is for 596 Chestnut Street. The owner, Robin Messner, and applicant Sharon Horn. They are asking for a zone change request, requesting a zone change from R1, Single Family Residence, which it is now, to B1, Minor Business District. And I'll entertain persons who are going to speak to this. And I would need,
I'm not
yeah,
sure if the
I'm-
applicant's here or
I'm
not.
talking about the
Are you
applicant.
the applicant? No. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Mr. Gilbert?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. State your name, please, and,
Sharon Horn.
okay, Ms. Horn. Would you speak to why you have requested this zone change?
I am wanting to change the zoning of this house to be a boutique for crafts and a coffee shop. I'm not wanting to change the looks of the house in any way because that adds to the charm of it. I know that one of the things that I love about this house is it has character and charm. It sits right on the edge of town. It's just one house away from Foley's Florist. And 15 years ago, it was an art gallery. So at one time, it was a commercial business. And one thing that I would have to offer that Berea does not have, other than the crafts, is I would also want to do a breast mastectomy shop for women who have gone through breast cancer. That's something Berea does not have, and many of the surrounding counties does not offer as well. And I don't want it to be a sterile environment, because they go through that so much during the breast cancer process. I want it to be a warm and inviting environment for them. I work right now where I work at with women with breast cancer, and these women are hurting, and they need a comfortable place, a caring place, and I want to provide that. I also want to provide a coffee shop that has little nooks and crannies inside and out for people that can come and grab a cup of coffee, read a book, enjoy the inside and outside beauty of this house, its character and its charm. And then my friends and I who do crafts, we can have that scattered throughout the home as well. Now, I know that Chestnut is, this one particular section is a historic part of town, and I'm not trying to change that. I want to leave the house exactly as it is. I just want to be able to create a characteristic place for people to shop, for people to get care when they're hurting, and find some nurturing, and to be part of a caring community. I think I can make a difference. I'd like to be part of a growing community. I know we've got the new bypass coming in. I know that Richmond and Lexington are growing cities, and the spillover is coming into Berea. I know we have the Spoonbread Festival and lots of other festivals, and the 27 yard sales that bring lots of people into the Berea community. And so there are lots of people coming, looking for something new and different that isn't just a streamlined store. And I'd like to be that something new and different.
Okay. Thank you very much. You have, any commissioners have a question at this point? Yes, please.
So I've got some questions, in looking through your application. One, I commend, the reasons you want to do all this. But you talk about you want to transform the garage. So I don't know what transform means. Are you talking about tearing it down, rebuilding?
Oh, no.
All right, transform the
I
garage.
just want to make it look like the house, and then inside, I want to make it look like just a comfortable, pampered area where the women can feel pampered.
So this retail space that you're talking about will happen in the garage, not the house?
Well, the house would be for the coffee shop and for the crafts. I needed something more private for the women, for the mastectomy shop. Something where they would not be interrupted, and they could just have their own private spot.
So the mastectomy shop happens in the garage?
Yes, because even though there are a lot of rooms in the house, a lot of women cannot climb the stairs, and there was not one room downstairs that I could just close off. And so I felt like the garage would be the best area to make over for the ladies.
So Okay, that's helpful because that explains why that the zone change is just for 596 and not for both 596 and 598, because the garage is on a separate lot.
Well, I am purchasing both lots, so I guess I just assumed that, yeah, the house included 2 lots.
Well, I haven't read the deed. Is the deed
It's a separate deed.
separate deed,
And
2 lots?
The application that was filed was specific to 596 Chestnut Street. And then included in the application was a plat, and let me just pull this out so I can show you. So included in the application was this plat that identifies Lot 4, where the house is, as 596 Chestnut Street, and Lot 3 as 598 Chestnut Street, but 598 was not included in the application.
I'm sorry, I just assumed I'm purchasing them both together.
Yes. But there's still legally 2 separate lots.
Yeah, and for the zone change, we can only consider what was on the application and what was sent out for,
Public hearing.
what was sent out, the information that was sent out as, for the public hearing, which again was very specific to only 596 Chestnut Street, because again, that's what was on the application. So, are you seeking a zone change for both 596 and 598 Chestnut Street?
Yes, I just
Yes.
assumed they both came together because that's what I'm purchasing together.
Okay. Yeah, they are 2 separate lots deeded separately on 2 separate tracts. So that's one thing that we would, again, this evening, we can only consider what the application in front of us. So KRS statute requires us to advertise publicly for any requested map amendments. And so this evening, we can only consider Lot 4, which is 596. And so it may be, we may want to continue the conversation in terms of, I would just remind the board that with map amendment request, there has to be a specific finding of fact, and so that would be one of 3 things: that it is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. In this case, we did not identify that it was. So for the future land use for this property is, as shown here, low-density residential, so there was no change shown on the future land use map. The second justification for a zone change would be that it was improperly zoned. This zone is more appropriate. Or third, that there has been a social or economic change in the area. And so I have talked to the applicant about, just making sure that justification is covered. So, we may want to consider, if the applicant wishes to resubmit, that may be, if you want both of those lots, we may need to consider resubmitting.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand. If both lots are part of the justification and ultimate use for, then you need to amend the application to include both lots. Otherwise, we're just going to look at 596, right? and solely as that. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So you want me to do another application and pay another $500 and do this again?
I don't know about the fee, if that's,
Maybe you can,
I mean, I'm
can it be,
supposed to close
excuse
the
me,
6th.
excuse me, is it possible that this could be tabled and you could submit a revision to what is currently here? So it would be under the same, I would think, the same amount. So you're just revising your request, okay? Is that possible, Amanda?
It is possible. I don't have any issue with that. We just need an application that shows what you're actually asking for. Because there's a legal requirement that KRS statute tells us that we have to put a sign up on the property. We have to notify adjacent property owners. We have to put an ad in the paper, and we have to show exactly what parcel or parcels are being requested for the zone change.
Okay, but I'm supposed to close on the 6th and, okay.
So this evening, again, I think you've got, the option to continue the hearing for Lot 4, which is address is 596 Chestnut Street. And I think you could, now this board does not make a final decision. So this process is that if the finding of fact is made and the commission votes in favor of it, it is actually a recommendation from this committee to the city council. But for the zone change to be approved, it does have to go through 2 readings of the city council. That's actually the approving authority for map amendments. And then it has to be published in the paper before it becomes law. So I think you have a couple options in this case. I think you could either resubmit the application to include both addresses, or you could continue with the hearing for 596 and then, come back at a later date for the separate address.
I can resubmit.
If you'll
Oh,
need
to
to
the-
come to the podium and be sworn in.
You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Good evening, I'm Robin Meisner. I'm the owner of 596 and 598 Chestnut Street. Thank you in advance for your serious consideration of the rezoning request. And I understand that, both properties weren't on the application. There is a possibility, which I've reached out to a surveyor, since I'm the owner of both, of combining the lots into one lot. So if that were to happen as part of the process and closing, then it might be beneficial to continue with this current application and the current discussion, and then potentially consider, I'm not sure what that impact would have. So for instance, if we move forward with the consideration of the rezoning of 596, and then upon closing, the lots were combined, I don't know. So I guess it's just a consideration to have. I was just curious of what your thoughts are if that occurred.
Mr. Gilbert, would you comment on that, please?
Unfortunately, they're separate lots.
Yeah.
And so they should have been included in that. 598 should have been included in the application if that's the intention to do. So a subsequent joining of the lots
Consolidation
wouldn't
of-
change what this body is able to do is to 598.
Okay,
A consolidation wouldn't make any difference. They can-
but the consolidation would create just one address for both lots, which could be under 596 where the primary residence would be?
The only thing that's under consideration is for 596, and it's a separate lot from 598. So if you continue on with the hearing tonight, the commission only has the authority
To consider that.
to make a determination as to that tract of land.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate.
Okay,
Thank
let me make sure I'm understanding some other possibilities. Because as discussed, is it possible to, I guess I would say, table this particular zone change for this particular address, have you to file an extension, a revision, I guess I'm saying, a revision to your zone change application, and then bring it back to us? Is that possible? I would think so.
It is, but I think the notification requirement would apply.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the deadline to get the revised application will be Tuesday, April the 4th. Would be the last date that we could accept that application, revision.
Okay. And I apologize if I didn't know I needed both addresses.
I do have one question, though, regarding the parking. Where would be the parking for this area?
I thought I would use the vacant lot.
Okay. Okay. Then are you asking for us to table this time?
I suppose I am.
There has been a request.
I'd like to make a motion to table this item.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we table the zone change
All right, thank
item
you.
until our next, or whenever. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay. Any other comments from anyone? Amanda, anything else?
I am still looking for someone to serve on the Bluegrass Ad Regional Planning Council. So if anyone is interested in that, they do have those meetings. There are 4 a year, 4 or 5 a year, and they are available on Zoom. So if you didn't want to drive to Lexington, that is an option. So if you could just let me know if you were interested in being on that council.
We're looking at persons to see
That's
if they
what I'm
might be
just
interested, you know. Okay. Well, we won't force the issue at this point.
No, that's
but,
right. It's a volunteer
It's
thing.
a
I'm just-
volunteer thing, but
Yeah.
please volunteer someone.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah, Martin has.
It was interesting, since Jeff dropped off of that, they've been sending me the emails, so I
Me
thought,
too.
Well,
Me too.
I guess you're still on it by default.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else need to come before the planning commission? I'll entertain
and make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There you go.
all in favor?
Aye.
Let's go home.